Throughout our lives, we've been watching the way that technology completely changes, warps, expands, and alters our relationships to ourselves, each other, and time itself. Firstly, I want to know if you know of books about the attention economy or about media studies or that talk about topics like this other than the six I presented here. I would love to know them in the comments because I'm always looking to deepen my knowledge about that subject. But also, I just want to give you the six books that I've loved most recently on this topic. And I'm really curious, what are the things that you've noticed are the biggest changes in your attention span or the way that you relate to technology, the world, yourself, and time as these things have been changing? Because, for example, when I was a kid, things like TikTok, Instagram did not exist. We had Facebook, we had MySpace, we had Zanga, and cell phones existed, but it was only you really had them if you were rich. And by the time that they proliferated to the point where everyone had one, still the concept of consuming internet or video via the cell phone was quite new. And when I was in college, that wasn't really a part of my collegiate experience. Instagram definitely was, Instagram and Facebook, but it was still static images. It wasn't short form video. The biggest change that I've noticed with myself is that something that I have thankfully reclaimed, but that was really difficult for a few years, was just sitting down with a book and actually finishing it, was sitting down and having the deep focus to actually sit with a text, especially a complicated one. And recently I read an article about how this isn't completely uncommon. With each passing year, college English majors are struggling to read complex texts. While this study that I read about on Substack references a book called Bleak House by Charles Dickens, which I think is unusually anachronistic and maybe not the best example to demonstrate this finding, I think all of us can agree that as technology has influenced our lives, our neural pathways are changing and certain tasks are becoming more difficult. And it's not even just that we can't read complicated text in the same way in which we used to relate to them. It's that the texts themselves that are becoming popular, that are getting published, have more simplistic language and rely on plot devices and pacing that are quicker and constantly darting left to right to keep our scattered attention. Novels that used to have really lengthy preambles in which you delve luxuriously into the mind of a character are now replaced with really quick action scenes that open up a story or really quick sex scenes so that you immediately are thrust into some primal feeling that is going to keep you hooked. Part of this, I think, is because we've started to study the psychology of stories over the past 100 years, and novelists have gotten a greater understanding of how to actually hook their readers. But I don't think that the simplification of popular novels, the difficulty we have with consuming them, are uncorrelated. And I'm really curious to hear what your own experiences with this have been.